Welcome back to the Patriots Report, part of the Believe Network, presented by FanDuel. My name is Christopher Price, the Boston Globe and BostonGlobe.com, joined by my podcast partner and two-time Super Bowl champion, Chris Hogan. Chris, how's your summer going, my friend?
It's great. It's great. I'm excited for school to start. Get back into some semblance of a schedule. But listen, we're having fun. The kids are having fun. Going on vacation in a week, so I'm looking forward to that. And then got a couple more weeks left, and then it's back to the grind again. So, and we're back to football. So it feels like feels like you and I never left this podcast room here. Excited to see what these guys can do with pads on. I know they haven't put them on yet, but I think there's a lot of exciting things going on with this team. So looking forward to the next couple of months here.
Was there a level, because pads go on here Thursday, and we're taping this on Wednesday. So I want to ask you about the level of excitement, the level of anxiety, what is the overall spirit of the locker room when you know that pads are going on the next day? Is it just a matter of like, come on, let's get to it, or is there trepidation? What's the feeling when you know that pads are going on for the first time in camp?
I think there's a little mix of everything kind of involved, and depending on where you fall in depth charts in the locker room, rookies, veteran guys, so I think veteran guys are kind of a little bit more acclimated to putting pads on in training camp and going out there. But that the competitiveness factor, I think, just gets ramped up a notch, right? This can be a first time defense, first offense, one-on-ones and pads. You're going to see O-line versus D-line, one-on-ones, so those are always, there's obviously going to be a fight tomorrow at some point, and probably early on when guys are just really amped up and ready to kind of, show the coaches what they can do with pads on and get out there and actually hit somebody. One-on-ones, they'll probably be as tough. That's, live team action, run period. So there's an anticipation for players. There's probably a little bit of anxiety for some guys putting the pads on for the first time, especially rookies, right? Like really not knowing, played football your whole life, but you're playing with the NFL, you're playing the NFL now, and it is a little different, right? It's all these guys are bigger, faster, stronger than what you played in college. So that's your first experience. And I think it's exciting. I think, this is real football, right? You get a chance to really go out there and kind of showcase your skills if you're a physical guy, or you can kind of run through tackles, or, there's no more thud period. Well, it should be all thud, right? We're not taking guys to the ground, but there's no shells on or two-hand touch. Like, people are going to thud you up. So it's a good opportunity for guys to go out and kind of show, like, amped up that competitiveness level a little bit, kind of show how physical you can be. And listen, at the end of the day, I think that where the NFL is and where the teams are at, everyone really has to be mindful of kind of safety, right? And like, this is a long season. We're not going out there cutting people's legs out from underneath them, which, like, 10, 12 years ago when I was in training camp, like, we were teaching that in training camp, right? Like going out there and cutting defensive backs' legs on a run period, but we're not doing that anymore. So hopefully everyone's kind of, they're, out there competing, but keeping everyone on their feet, knowing that we got a season to prepare for. But I was always nervous when pads came on. It was like a good nervous, right? Like, this is football. This is my time now to, show something different, show something where I can, run through on special teams, be a, really physical blocker or run catcher, be real physical in the run game, right? We haven't really been able to show that. A lot of guys are just kind of getting to position, kind of thudding up, but like, now you have an opportunity to go down there and probably put a shoulder pad on somebody and, do it obviously the right way, but it's a good opportunity for a lot of guys to show some different skill sets, with full pads on.
I don't think we're going to get a fight tomorrow because it's supposed to rain.
There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight.
You think there's going to be a fight tomorrow?
And it's going to rain. Guys are going to be slipping. People are going to be pissed off because it's raining. We're out there. It's wet. Forget about it. There'll be in the first 30 minutes of training camp. 100%.
Someone grabbing a helmet. Someone grabbing a face mask and wrangling the guy around.
Someone's going to get pissed off that they slipped and someone hit me too hard. Oh, yeah, 100%. definitely a fight happening.
Okay. We'll look for that. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to kind of get you up to speed on the wide receivers. And I'm sure that you've been paying attention to the stories, seeing the video. Kayshon Boutte has been absolutely dominant at times. He's been the number one offensive skill position player in camp through the first few days, and it hasn't even been close. I know that the Pats haven't gone on yet, so we're not going to make any sort of bold, declarative, over-the-top statements, but where does this leave the Patriots? Because we were all certain, at least in our own minds, that Kayshon Boutte was going to be the odd man out now with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs in the lineup. What's the path forward here? My philosophy, honestly, and you can kind of comment on this, it's a little bit like starting pitching in baseball. You can't have too many wide receivers because inevitably something's going to happen to someone, and you're going to need to be able to call on that depth chart moving forward.
Well, first, I'm excited to hear that he has kind of taken on this opportunity or challenge, whatever you want to call it, right? There's been all these talks about Kayshon being traded, and it hasn't been for lack of wanting him to be there, right? I think that everyone's voiced, the coaches have voiced how much they appreciate it and really love Kayshon, right? And how good of a receiver is. But I think for him, I think he's kind of lit a little bit of a fire underneath him, right? And he's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, maybe, and he's going out there and really trying to prove himself, saying like, "Hey, like I know we brought in AJ, I know we brought in Romeo, but like let's not forget about me too." One of the more productive guys that we had last year, opposite of Steph, and clearly now is coming out in training camp and showing what he can do, right? And I think if you're the Patriots, I think if you're Josh McDaniels, I think if you're Drake May, I mean, why would you not want more guys, right? So I know that I know everyone's losing their minds up there about AJ not getting his targets or his catches, but the guy literally just got in the door like 3 weeks ago. Romeo's still getting up to speed. It's training camp, man. It's the first couple of days of training camp. So there's a ramp up period, right? And everything kind of starts at the bottom of the hill, and we're just trying to go all the way up, right? We're trying to get to the top, and the top of the hill is the end of August, September, Labor Day, when we're playing our week 1. So we still have all these practices, all of these weeks, and it's just for those guys to kind of continue ascending in the direction where they're working on their timing, they're working on their communication, they're working on that quarterback receiver relationship, because it doesn't happen overnight. And AJ's a vet, Romeo's a vet. He's done things a certain way. They both have done things a certain way for a long period of time in their career. And maybe Drake hasn't been taught that way, or he hasn't seen it that way, or Josh is teaching it a different way, because Josh is very, he wants things done a specific, routes are going to be inside release. It's got to be inside release, outside release, so all these different things. It's a new system, new playbook. Again, there's a lot of transfer over from playbook to playbook from wherever you are, but different terminology. So it's like the ability for these guys to be able to go out there and play at the speed that they're normally capable of playing at. Maybe it's a little bit slower, right? Because they're still processing play calls, where to line up, who's in front of me. It's a totally new environment. So for me, I think Kayshon is obviously playing well because he's comfortable, right? This is another year in this offense. It's another year with Drake. It's another year with Josh. He's going out there. He knows where to line up. He's playing fast. He's seen the guys who's across from him all the time. So he's able to do that. AJ and Romeo, like there's a little bit more of a mental game going on here, right? They're still processing things of, like working out the kinks and, getting accustomed to playing with Drake and in this offense. And listen, there's going to be a point in period in time, and give it maybe, I don't know, another week or so, where things are going to start clicking, right? And that's just going to come from repetition after repetition. It's going to come from watching film together and not really thinking that either one of them kind of know or have it, right? Because they don't, and they're just going to continue to work at it. So there shouldn't be anyone hitting any panic buttons on AJ Brown. But I think if you are Braves, I think if you're Josh, Drake, Mr. Kraft, I think that if you're looking at this room right now, You got 3 guys that can play. Like, why would you not want to put all 3 of those guys out there, right? And then we're not even talking about the other guys that can kind of fill in spots here. So it's definitely a crowded room. I mean, you got 3. I think you have Kyle and then you have Mac. I think those are your 5, and then there's going to be a decision, right, where a good receiver is going to, Chiz is probably going to is going to get bumped to practice squad again.
Kick
And
returner, kick returner. That's
sure, we need
that's the path
sure
forward.
that
That's the path
that could be the
forward
path, right?
for
But we
for,
still
for
have
those guys
but we
at
have
the back end of the
Jones,
roster.
right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, so again, how many receivers are going to keep? Who knows? Mac is not. I don't. He's not a tight end, but listen, he's on this team, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that this guy's on his team, and that they're not going to stick him in the tight end room. He's a guy that's going to be a deep threat on some of these deep play packages. He's a guy that's going to come in on run block, a guy that's going to be in play action stuff. And then the rest, they're going to have some decisions to make here, when it comes that time. But I'd rather be in this position right now where we're talking about this receiver room being crowded and healthy and competitive and very skilled, rather than where we've been in the past where like, oh my God, who's Drake throwing the ball to? It's like, no, man, like we got some guys here now. So again, bro, like love hearing a Kayshon. Saw him make a good play in camp yesterday. I think it's just that there's a process that kind of has to like take its course here with Romeo and AJ, and they need to be able to get comfortable with Drake and Josh and this offense. And like all of a sudden, it's gonna start to click. And when it starts to click, you got like everyone will know. AJ will come out in like a week, and Romeo will come out in a week or so, and they'll have, 10 or 12 targets in training camp and live team periods, catch everything, do everything right. And it's going to be like, okay, like here we go. Now the offense is starting to move here a little bit.
You know when it's going to happen?
Against the Eagles.
First day of joint practice against the Eagles. That's exactly when it's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's when it's going to happen. It's going to click, and it's like they've never were apart. It's just he's going to be all over the field. He's going to be catching a million balls, and it's going to look perfect. Yep. I want to go back to your first year and kind of pick your brain a little bit when you came to New England. And look, every wide receiver and every quarterback is completely different, and their relationship and the chemistry. And I know that first summer, you guys were dealing with 2 different quarterbacks. It was Tom and Jimmy. And so that kind of added to the conversation and maybe made things a little bit more difficult. I'm curious, how long did it take you to really click with Brady? And can you lean on that experience? Can you go back to that experience and maybe apply it here when you're talking about, the relationship between Drake and the new wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it took some time. And Tom doesn't just like trust you right out, right in the door. He really it takes some time, but I put a lot of effort into studying, right? Knowing the playbook, knowing where to line up, knowing where to be in this offense so that I could go out first and foremost and play fast. Like that was very important to me. And that was echoed to me as soon as I got in the building was like, I got to know the plays. I got to know the formations, all the different pre-snap motion. Like that was the first thing that was taught to me when I stepped in with Chad, like in that receiver room. Like we're literally going over formations for the first couple of days. And it's like, you have just get these down, right? The plays will come. And then it's like going out and in practice and OTAs and in like non-competitive periods and just performing, right? Like showing up, running good routes, catching the football, showing Tom that you can, go up and get a football or go down low and get a football. So I think there's a lot of things that kind of go into a quarterback kind of trusting you doing that. And then there's also one-on-one periods, right? Showing that you're capable of getting open versus press versus, all these, different coverages and one-on-one guys that you're going to win those battles. So I think for me, it was, it started very early on in April, in the off season and OTAs. And then once we got into training camp, there was still some, I was still learning and I was still adjusting and still kind of taking in anything. And I was constantly standing by him, right? If he had something to critique about one of my routes or how he wants things done. And then I just tried to do that the best way possible. And at the end of the day, just go out and perform and catch the balls that he threw to me. Right. And I think I did that very well in those training camps, and especially the first one that I was at. Um, and then Jimmy G was kind of a unique thing too. We put in the time, right? Like the last like couple of weeks of training camp, Jimmy started to take more reps and we started to do that. But um, you know, the way that it's taught, it's so similar the way that Josh teaches this way, and Jimmy was taught the same reads as Tom, and the ball might come a little different, or he might, he was a little bit more mobile, so we were doing some different things, but it just takes time, man. Like it really does. It doesn't just happen, overnight, and it didn't happen for me right away. It really had to put in the time, right? And it happened probably more off the field than it did on the field, or at least like on the sidelines, kind of talking to, like, if there was a route that maybe he saw that he didn't like, or we're watching film and wasn't as in the right spot, or the release took a little bit too long, like Tom would tell you. So that, again, the communication between quarterback and receiver is big. So hopefully Drake is kind of taking that upon his shoulders to, talk to this veteran guy, right? The guy that's been in the league for a long time, or any of these guys, and say, hey, like, this is the way that I see it. Like, do you see it the same way? Right. And like, how do we make this click and work? And again, it's just, you'll see whenever they play the Eagles, it's going to click. And all of a sudden the guy's going to be like lights out.
You guys are always so polite when the cameras are on talking about Jimmy G. Everyone, I'm not just goofing on you here, but everyone, when the cameras are on, everyone's like, oh, he was great, and then the cameras go off and it's a different story. So I'm not gonna.
There's always that little bit of Belichick coaching experience, like that's like just ingrained in all of our heads, to not talk, keep it about yourself, keep it about the team, and if you have any questions, call Bill. Call Bill. Ask him about Jimmy G. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, so I won't kill you too much for that. At least from the outside, I'll say this: that it appeared to click for you in Tom's first game back.
Yeah,
and I'm just looking up the numbers here: 4 catches, 5 targets, 114 yards.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Tom did not. I mean, and again, like, you got to imagine me and the excitement that I had in that Cleveland game for his first game back in Cleveland. Guy was like on a totally another level of competitiveness and just energy. And I remember that game very, very clearly. First time really playing with him, Gronk, the whole squad. Gronk ran me over on the sideline because I got in his way because I tried to block for him down the sideline. But yeah, I got open a couple times. And again, like, I just go back to all those plays, but so many of those plays we practiced over and over and over, and we hit them in practice, and he was comfortable throwing it in practice. And I guarantee you, if we didn't hit those plays in practice, he wasn't throwing it in the game, or Josh wasn't calling it, right? Like, Tom really, like, he's going to go through his plays like, hey, this is what I like. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I think is going to work. And if it wasn't working in practice, then we're probably not going to call in the game. But we hit it in practice. We had success with it in practice. So again, going back to just putting in the work, right? The extra work off after practice, staying after and kind of catching balls, and just, again, just kind of being in his vision, right, of me catching footballs, was everything that I could ever wanted, right? Of trying to be reliable receiver for Brady. So I think the same thing kind of goes for these guys, right? There's really no different.
That was your third most productive game of the year, including the playoffs.
No.
You had the game against the Steelers in the postseason, where people in Pittsburgh still, still on their shit list for what happened that postseason. But you also had, I'm looking this up here, the December win over Baltimore, 5 catches for 129 yards.
Yeah, I had the winning touchdown in that game.
Yeah, that was a sneaky big game for you.
It was sneaky, yeah. But again, and we could talk about that, the one pass that we threw, that it was like a 70, 80-yard touchdown. again, a play where this was now I had an option of going to the corner or taking it up the middle of the field or breaking it across the safety. And that's a play that you call that we practiced. We said, hey, if we get this coverage, this is how you're going to run it. And yeah, so like that could have gone a number of different ways if I didn't make the right decision or we hadn't practiced it. So all again, and also these plays, right? Like Josh has an offense. So there's going to be a lot of things that is going to be asked of AJ and Romeo to run some of these different routes where it's like, okay, depending on what coverage we get or what leverage we get, like we're going to do some different things. So they're getting used to being coached by Josh, being in the huddle with Drake, breaking the huddle with all these different guys. They haven't done it very much, and they've only had, you know, Romeo's had a little bit more time, but the OTAs are OTAs. It's a little different. So again, it's like give him some time. I think this is going to be again. It's like that ramp up period that you're just expecting them to kind of continue to level up, level up, level up, and then when we get to the season, everyone's full steam ahead.
One more note on 2016 for you. You dominated the AFC North that year.
Yeah.
Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens.
Yeah,
Big
did
numbers.
did well against the AFC North.
Big numbers.
I led the league in yards per catch that year.
You did. You had a great year that year. You did. And it's one of those things where people will look at numbers, and I don't want to go too far in this. People will look at yards per catch numbers in Patriots history, and they'll go to Randy Moss, and they'll go to Stanley Morgan, and then wait a minute, Hogan's in there.
Yeah. 17.9, I think it was, or something like that.
That's a good year.
It was a good year. It was a great year.
That was a hell of a year.
It was a good year. It was a good team.
All right, I want to switch gears here just a little bit. And a lot of people in New England are, I don't want to say upset, but they were questioning the idea of Robert Kraft saying what he said about Christian Gonzalez and his contract situation. Now, look, these things can change in a snap. They can. And so, look, we're recording this here on Wednesday afternoon. By Wednesday night, they could get a deal in place. But a lot of people were questioning the idea of Robert Kraft being so open with what they offered Christian Gonzalez. And then yesterday, Christian Gonzalez came back and was like, look, I want to keep that between me, my team, and the front office. I was just struck by the fact that Gonzalez is a little bit like Steph Gilmore. He's a quiet dude, but he likes to handle his business kind of out of the spotlight.
Yep.
And I don't know if that was the wisest move on Robert Kraft's part, kind of putting that information out there. I know that a lot of these conversations are posturing between the player and the team and the ownership. I get all that, but I think if he could use a mulligan there, I don't know if Robert Kraft would have done that in that forum when it came to Gonzalez. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think maybe it's just as simple as he was kind of just showing the amount of support that he has for Christian and the want and the need to get a deal done. And I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but it sounds like to me that they are trying to figure this out and they're trying to make Christian one of the higher paid players in the National Football League, or at least in Patriots history, right? As Robert kind of alluded to. But I think yes, maybe was it putting it out there? Was that the wrong way of going about it? I don't know. I don't write the check. So, and I'm not in charge of the team, but I also think Robert's just kind of showing his commitment, to Christian and wanting him to know that if he hasn't told them now, he's kind of putting it out there in the public, like, hey, we do want Christian here. We want to pay him. We want to get him what he's earned and what he's owed, and the type of player that he is. Obviously, we want to keep him here for a long time. So, it's tough for me to kind of debate here what's right and wrong of dealing with these types of situations. But I think there's also, Robert was never in the spotlight for so many years because Bill handled all that stuff, right? We've had some contract deals, but this is the first big one, right? This is the first one that Robert's now, okay, Bill's not handling this, but Bill, we all know Bill's not going to talk about anything, right? But now Robert's kind of thrust into this position of like, hey, what does it look like? What's going on? How are we handling this? And maybe he was just a little bit kind of carefree with, hey, like, yeah, we want to pay the kid, right? We want to get him what he's owed. We want him to be here, and we're going to make him the highest paid player in Patriots history. So, um, I don't think it hurt the negotiations. I think if anything, Christian can kind of use that against them, right? And just be like, hey, you went out in the public and said it, so like, where are we at
Yeah.
here with the
Yeah.
deal? So, but you know what? Look, Christian has a really good head on his shoulders, and like you said, right, he's a quiet kid. He's kind of keeps to himself, um, but he's a good player, and I think a guy that you can build a defense around and kind of want to be around for a long time. So, the hope would be that both parties kind of figured this out before the start of the season. Because this is a kid that like he's owed, right? He's played, he's performed, battled some injuries, but he looks pretty good from what I can tell right now, and hopefully that's just your that support is only going to drive him to kind of continuously get better. He's a young kid, man. Like he's got a lot of more years left in this league, and hopefully it's with New England. So you gotta the teams now. You got to pay your guys, the top guys. You have to pay them, right? Or they're either not going to play, which guys have shown, or they're just going to walk. And like you don't want to be in that situation. I think show your support. It helps in the locker room. It helps on the defensive side of the ball, showing that your ownership is willing to kind of go to bat for your better players. And I think like just the overall team chemistry and morale, right? Showing the support for the guys that are in your locker room that have done well over the last couple of years. And, you went to a Super Bowl and you played one against the better receivers in the National Football League and you shut them down and you did some really good things. So it's like, yeah, man, like let's pay the kid and move on. Right. I think that's got to be the way that these things are done, because the other thing that's looming over top of us is Drake May is going to have to.
All that gold at the end of the rainbow.
I mean, good Lord. I can't even imagine what this kid's contract is going to be. But again, another kid who's got to go out and perform and do well. And the kid has a good year. It's like, what are we talking about? There is no fifth year option. Let's just get this. Let's get him what he's owed. Let's get him what he's due. Let Elliott figure out the numbers and whatever we have to do contract wise. And I think he's very skilled in that way, kind of Nick Casario-esque type guy who's just so good in contract negotiations and writing these contracts in specific ways that it benefits the player but also benefits the team in some way, shape, or form, where we're not totally killing ourselves in the cap and we still have some room to some wiggle room year to year. So yeah, I don't think it hurts. I don't think Robert would probably go back and take it back. I think that hopefully at the end of the day, they're just trying to get this deal done and everyone can be happy. Right? That's best case scenario.
You want to set an over-under for average annual value for Drake May now? 65 million?
The
cap's going to keep going up for the next couple of years.
The cap's going up. So what was Mahomes? Mahomes was
I don't know.
He was.
You're looking at guys like Mahomes and Dak.
I know they just restructured some of Mahomes' deal, but I think he was 500, right? And probably 40 something million a year, 45 a year, somewhere around there. So yeah, he's probably looking at his bank account is not going to be hurting after that. Let's just put it that way.
Plenty of baked goods for him and Ann Michael coming up in the next couple of years. I'll put it that way. Yeah. And the other thing too about Gonzalez, one more note about Gonzo is that this is not, and I don't know how closely people have followed throughout camp. This is not a hold-in situation either with him. He's been at the front of the workout line every single practice, at least so far.
Again, like the type of kid that he is, man. Like
he's fully committed. He's fully committed. 100%. There's no question about where he is, where his head's at going into the season. He's taken all of his usual reps with the number one defense, going up against A.J. Brown on a handful of occasions too. Yeah. So there's no question as to where his mind is. I'm just curious as to how this is all going to play out moving forward. Going to give us something to talk about until we don't have anything more to talk about with Gonzalez and the team. So one more question for you today. And I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to be a little delicate with this. We talked about Brady a little bit earlier, but what's going on with him? What's going on with the WWE and Fanatics? And look, I understand Fanatics because, as I told someone before, at least there's like the sheen of respectability there. That like a lot of other, there were former players and stuff, and you're signing, and I get all of that. But I guess for me, the WWE stuff just comes off odd.
Yeah. To each his own, brother. Right. Actually, and I have thought about this a little bit, just because it seemed, listen, I spent a lot of time with Tom in the locker room and on a football field, so I was always accustomed to him and that certain personality that he was as a competitor and as a football player. And I wasn't as fortunate to spend so much time with him off the football field because listen, off season guys go their separate ways, families, off season time away from football, like it is what it is. But I think people need to stop worrying about what Tom Brady is doing and not really care so much and just let the guy live his life. And I think that we'd be a lot happier, right? I think people are getting a little consumed with it. This is not like, we all know who Tom is. He's got the resume to back up everything that he's done. And he is in this time of his life where maybe he's like trying to do different things. Like I respect it, right? Maybe he's coming out of his comfort zone a little bit and doing some acting, right? The eyes in the WWE thing kind of creeped me out a little bit because right, because he have contacts in with
he had contact. He was doing a whole Undertaker thing.
Yeah, it creeped me out a little bit. Yeah. But again, like, to each his own, man. Like, it's not my life to live, and I certainly, if I was in his position and made as much money and had the notoriety that he does, like, I'd probably be doing whatever the hell I wanted to too. So like, you only get one life, man. You only get one life, and I think this is like, go out and try to have as much fun and live what you live and do what you want, right? And I think I try to echo that even to my kids. It's like, and my wife and I share the same perspective. It's, we're not going to be around here forever, and do what you want and kind of have as much fun as you can in this life, and not worry about so much as what other people think about you or what else, because the world is kind of a crazy place to be in right now with everything that's going on all over the world. And I think if we cared a little bit less about some of this outside stuff and more about what's in front of you, then we'd probably all be a little bit happier. So keep doing your thing, Tom. Love you, bro.
WWE ever give you a call?
Just don't get in the ring. Don't get in the ring with Logan. Don't do that. Well, I mean, he's got to pack on some more. I need some more muscle if he gets in the ring. If he gets, he's going to go take out Logan Paul, because Logan, look, he's no slouch, man. Dude's like,
he's
big dude.
He's big.
I will say this. We didn't talk about the Paul brothers, because I've seen so much about not Logan, but Jake, right? Sorry. Yeah, Jake, about saying he could play in the NFL. I'm like, all right, like, I listen, these kids are athletic. I'll give them that. I'll never, like, I watched like that podcast and all that kind of stuff, like doing backflips and all this crazy stuff like that. There's some crazy athleticism that goes into that, but can you just like roll it out, never playing football before and just be a receiver? I don't know about that, but again, these guys have so much damn money and so much time to allocate towards doing these things. Like, you never know, right?
I could see you with the athleticism being a part of the WWE, jumping off top ropes.
I was never a wrestling fan. I never got into it. I was never into it. Listen, when I was a kid, I didn't even watch sports. Like, I was always outside, bro.
Exactly. You were the guy who was outside. Yeah,
I was always outside. Always outside.
Yeah. Playing something, playing basketball, playing
doing
baseball,
something.
playing football. Yeah, lacrosse,
Always. Always outside.
I could see you doing a WWE thing though.
See, then I'd have to come out of my
Physically.
comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a certain personality to be in the WWE.
It does. It
you
does. Edelman
know?
strikes me as a WWE guy.
Oh God.
Like that, he's not only got the size and the build and the athleticism, but he's also got the personality for it.
Nah, Jules is too little now. He's too skinny.
How about this? How about last question? Last question before you go.
Just kidding, Jules. You look great, bro. If you watch our podcast.
Other than Gronk, who would be like the go-to, and I think he's done stuff with WWE before.
Yeah,
is there a former teammate who you would pick as most likely to succeed as a professional wrestler?
Chris Long, maybe Marty Bennett, because he's got the personality for it.
That'd be good.
Right. And he's athletic, right? Basketball player. Like he's got some really, I wouldn't say sneaky, like he was very athletic. Personality, Chris Long, because he's just he'd be more of like an Undertaker type guy, but he also has a little bit of a personality. So maybe something like that. James Devlin, right? Kind of like a Stone Cold type, doesn't have any, he's just no personality, right? But he's just gonna spear you, and it's just gonna the James Devlin, Chris Long, Marty Bennett, who else? Yeah.
Long could cut a promo. I'll bet Long could cut a promo. He could be one of the guys on the mic and just get the crowd fired up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, any of those guys. Yeah,
I could see that.
Danny and Jules would be like a little tag. I know they did the little when they were in Mexico, they did a little tag team thing there, so they could do a little. They could do a little duo thing, maybe. Yeah,
doing all sorts of
partner
acrobatic moves.
Yeah, exactly.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Chris Hogan, as always, my friend, we appreciate the time. Thank you, and we will talk to you again very, very soon.
Thank you, brother.